Now, clinical trials of puberty-blocking drugs for children have been approved for the first time since their use in gender clinics was banned last year. It follows a major review that raised concerns that the evidence for use of hormone treatments in children was built on shaky foundations. Now, before December 2020, blockers were available to young people through NHS Gender Identity Development Service at the Tavistock and Portman NHS Foundation Trust. Then in December of 2020, the High Court ruled that kids under 16 were unlikely to be able to give informed consent, and that led to caution in their prescription. Then in March 2024, NHS England announced that it would no longer routinely prescribe puberty blockers for new patients under 18. They pointed to insufficient evidence on their safety and effectiveness based on a review by NICE and interim advice from the Cass review. Then in May of last year, the UK government introduced emergency legislation to temporarily ban private and overseas prescriptions of puberty blockers for new patients under 18. That came into force the following month. And then in December of last year, the temporary ban was made indefinite across the UK. Well, Oliver Whitfield-Mircic has more.
Well, it's a very contentious area, Sam, where, a huge debate has taken place, especially online as part of the so-called culture wars about whether it is right or whether it is wrong to offer what can often be children as young as 10 these drugs which stop puberty in its tracks. Now, here we're going to see potentially up to 220 young people up to the age of 16 taking part in these clinical trials. They will have had to have been questioning their gender and have been referred to a gender service before they're allowed to take part, and they'll then be injected with these hormone suppressing drugs which basically stop puberty in its tracks. So in girls, stopping breasts from developing, and in boys, stopping those vocal changes that we see and facial hair growth from happening. Now, those who are in favour of this type of treatment say that essentially when a young person is questioning their gender, they can face things such as stress and anxiety, and these drugs can help alleviate some of that. They also say now it buys time for that person to work out whether they want to go on to make a fuller transition. But it is a highly contentious area, and those who are against it say there are huge ethical questions that need to be answered, such as making sure that you get informed consent and how difficult it can often be to get informed consent from somebody who can be 10, 11, 12 years old, and whether they realise the full ramifications of the drugs that they're taking and the long-lasting effect that those drugs can have. Other opponents say that the Tavistock Clinic had previously been handing out these puberty blockers far too freely in years gone by, and that's why we're seeing now this threat of potential legal action, a judicial review potentially being brought by two campaigners against the government. They're urging medical regulators to stop this trial before it even gets off the ground, and if not, they say that they will be going to the High Court and their lawyers will then serve papers against the government. Now, we have had a statement from the Department for Health and Social Care in which it says young people with gender incongruence need access to high quality, safe and effective care. We are following the Cass review, which was clear that the evidence on care for these children is lacking, and proposed this research to help provide it. The spokesperson goes on to say medical care must always be based on solid evidence and children's safety must come first. But this is an issue that is likely to raise that debate once again online, and it quite often can be vociferous, both for and against.